What's happening? I am joined today by my good friend Anthony Ski of Keypoint Intelligence. How are you, Anthony?
Great, Andy. How about yourself, man?
I am
Thanks for
awesome.
having me.
Awesome. My pleasure. Always my pleasure to have you. How's New Jersey? How are you guys doing down there? And how was your summer? We're firmly into fall now. We'll catch up. I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of internal traveling with our offices, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But summer's been good. I can't believe it's almost the middle of October already. And this is a nice time of the year around here. Leaves changing, getting a little cool out. Good football weather, so everything is good.
Good football weather. Too bad those teams in the New York area are
Yeah,
doing
I want
so
to
well,
say
but
all over New York.
It's a weird year. It's a weird year.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about football today. We got a lot of catching up to do. You guys have been really busy. I don't even know where you want to start. What's the first thing? What would you like
Yeah,
to?
so I think for us, there's a couple of things going on, mainly AI and sustainability, right? Have been a big play for us. 2 weeks ago, we did two separate webinars. We actually started it at an APAC AI webinar, and it was really cool. We had 150 people register for that, and just talking about, I think the industry's trying to figure out what AI is to them. And I think if you talk to 100 people, you're going to get 300 answers because it's all over the board. But we have tried to narrow it down by doing assessments in individual companies and seeing where AI would fit. And I think that's a good starting point. People seem to like that. And then, as you know, we've partnered with West McDonald. We do Chow Services, which is Chief uh, Artificial Intelligence Officer. And we put time in there to build plans because it's great to say, these are what's the value, this is the value, this is the issues. But then who's going to take charge of that and run with those? And West does that. We have an advisory service that gives you continuous access to all AI information, from forecasts to newsletters to what we recommend for products. So there's a lot of good information that's coming with AI, and I think people are figuring it out. So we do the same AI thing in the US and the UK, and 425 people register for it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's Andy, I was shocked, right? I thought the numbers were wrong because I've done webinars a long time and I've never seen numbers like that. But there is just a craving in our industry to understand,
Well,
right? I
everyone
don't,
wants to know, because it's such a ubiquitous term, right? I mean, everybody wants to know how are you using it? How are you using it? I sat through a couple panels at BTA recently, outstanding panels. You had three guys up there on one of them, and we're talking, three completely different ways. One's using it in marketing, one's using it for hotline, right? And then others using it in service. So, and I'm sure they're all using it in marketing, right? Everybody's
right,
using
yeah.
it at some level or another. But the way it's now starting to trickle down into the other parts of the business, it's fascinating to watch. And you guys are helping advise dealers on this.
Yeah, and I think we have made a real concerted effort over the years, over the last like year and a half, 2 years, to build our brand with dealers for sales enablement tools, for AI, for things that really trainings, production training is big right now. We have quoting tools. I'll go into all of this, but we've really made a conscious effort to benefit the dealer community. And we were so strong with, the manufacturers that the dealers, I think, are craving information, training, and knowledge in certain areas. And I think we can be beneficial there. And we're seeing like with an AI, like where do we go? They're looking for direction. And I just want to mention one thing to you that I think is real interesting. So when I started this all out, like I was with West, right, and did the assessment, and I was sold because now we're using AI in sales. And I would tell you that I never in a million years would associate AI with sales anywhere, right? But our pre-call planning, our SWOT analysis, there's so much things that we're doing now with AI in sales that it's just another department to add on top of the ones you already talked about that are beneficial.
So how do they get involved with you with the consulting part of this? What's the process like? How do they sign up? And then where do you take them for AI
Yeah.
training?
So they can reach out to KPI, right? We have a lot with the BLIQ, so a lot of people are assigned to a KPI person already. They can contact me directly, right? And I'll guide them through or help them with the process. But really, it starts with just a one-on-one strategy meeting. We're not selling anything. We're trying to understand what the dealer wants out of AI. What are their thoughts? What are their perceptions? What's fact versus reality? And we just kind of sort through it all. And we sit down and talk about pain points. So what's really important now is like we're trying to understand pain points of dealers. And you would think that everybody has the same pain points. They're similar, but I'll tell you that you go to one dealer and it's completely different than another dealer. And that's a good thing, right? That's what makes them successful. They're local, they know their markets, and they handle their markets differently.
They're not robots. You're right. You're right.
And I absolutely love that, right? Like I started at a dealer as a copier salesperson
Me
in New
too.
York, right? Like that's my roots. So to understand what a dealer goes through, I think is very helpful. Like it's not somebody else who's never been in this industry talking about this industry, right? And especially with AI and having Wes's knowledge, and Anne, you talked about BTA. Anne was a speaker at BTA,
Yep.
right?
She
So
ran
we
the
have,
panel, actually.
yes.
Yes.
So we have a lot of expertise, and Lisa Brown's another one in our organization. We have a ton of expertise when it comes to AI for what it means in this industry, right? We're taking that, in fact, to other industries, but we are focused on this industry because I think we know it so well.
Well, you certainly struck a nerve if you can get that many people on a webinar in our world, because that's it's tough to fill seats in a live event like that. People get busy. People, don't necessarily want to jump in. They like to a lot of times just watch it on their own time.
Right.
Have that many sign up shows, I think, how much they crave information,
Exactly.
and just how am I going to use this? What am I going to do with it? What are my peers doing with it? So kudos to you, but I want to shift gears. We only have a certain amount of time here, but I want to. You touched a little nerve with me on this training you mentioned, and so backing up, you guys just came from Printing United.
Right.
A lot of you had a whole team there. Production
Yeah.
is really big with you. You bought that company last year for production consulting.
Right.
So talk to me about production and training because that's something, Xerox used to have Leesburg. Leesburg isn't there anymore. A lot
Yeah.
of companies, not just I'm picking on them because I went to Leesburg, but a
And
lot of
so did
companies have
I,
had
by the
these,
way.
right? You went to it too. Kodak, when they were in our industry, you used to go there 3, 4 weeks at a time. That kind of
Yep.
training doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So to me, dealers have to do it on their own mostly, and some are probably going to be better than others. Depends on your resources and the people that you have. And so you guys found a little hole in our world where I think there was a big need for this. Tell me about this training program. What does it entail? What's this program look like?
Yeah. So a year and a half ago, we bought a company, ProPrint Performance. That's the company that you talked about. And they have the portal and they have training. And so they have what's called Ignite training and competitive training. And really, it's a consultative approach to the production world of, in my opinion, production is not about speeds and feeds, right? It's about the project that the customer wants to get out, the solutions associated with it, the fastest way to get it out, right? That's what people, and the most cost-effective way to do it. So we go through all kinds of consultative questions, teach the sales reps the consultative way, and then we follow that up with competitive training and talk about the competitors. What's the advantages that we have over certain competitors? And I will tell you that it's something that we have two dealer councils, a mega dealer council and an SMB dealer council. And we talk about what they need, and tools and training are great partners with this. And what I mean by that is we have a vertical market tool that will drill down by zip code any vertical market, so healthcare, legal. Then you can see how many of them are in a territory. When I ran sales organizations, the toughest thing for me to do was to come up with territories. What's in the territory? I don't know, right? It's a
Becky
guess.
index. We used to use the Becky index. Remember that?
Yeah, right. Of course. Yes. And now we have a VMO tool, vertical market tool, that will do all of this. So then you take, I've identified them. Now I'm going to train my people really well on sales skills and then competitive skills. So I have the sales skills, the competitive skills, and now I know where the accounts are that I want to target. So it's a total package, and the dealers really do love it. Because to your point, I think getting individual training that people can count on, and we even started in e-learning with this. So the basics are done by e-learning, so it's more cost effective. Then you can go to instructor-led training, and it's all about everything production, right? Like we have experts in labels and packaging, textiles, just regular production, right? Like there's so much to talk about, wide format, right? There's so many things that are talked about. Now, these are individual sessions based on production, and we're these guys from ProPrint are experts. They've been doing it for over 20 years, and I think there's a real need for it in our industry.
So how does it finish? Is it ongoing? Is there a graduate? Is it you kind of graduate the program? You get certified at the end?
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
there's test with it there, but the interesting thing is every manufacturer changes product all the time. So does it really ever end from the point of view
No,
and sales skills? I think you're always looking to enhance sales skills.
I
So I
agree.
think it's always you're rotating people through. Do you do specialists? Do you do sales reps? Do you do your management team?
That was
Right?
my next question. Do you have modules for this, or are there plans to do modules down the road for? Um, I never got to be a big fancy production rep. I was a geo rep banging on doors, right? So, I mean, is there going to be training for that at that level down, or do you already have that?
No, that already exists. So we'll have people. So manufacturers have been using this, and now we're giving it over to the dealers. But you'll have management specialist reps, right? All in this so people understand the consultative way and then understand what their competitors are. So I do think
Awesome.
that it's beneficial to everybody, right? And then you can have, like we have manufacturers that just put specialists in there. Then you could have your management team. It's very funny because Milner uh, came up here and brought like 10 or 12 people up here. And we talked about a whole bunch of different things, right? So, I give Tom a lot of credit. He was very impressed with this, the lab to understand everything associated with it. And I think it was a real good education for them. We had a great full day with them. And I think it's more and more dealers need this because production is still growing. How do you get those clicks? Where do you take them from? And what's your competitive advantage?
Well, and on top of that, I think most, if not, I would say all of the manufacturers have scaled back their investment in training, and they've left it up to the resellers to train, the local branches at some level to train. I mean, I know they have programs in the branch system, but the branch system, as you know, is scaled way back from where it was 5, 10 years ago.
Right,
Rico got rid of pretty much the branch program. Konica got rid of a few. Toshiba's still got theirs. Canon still got theirs. They got rid of a couple. But it's not as big as it once was, right? And I think going forward, it may possibly get smaller, and so there's more pressure on the dealers, right, to do their own training, and the bigger ones have the ability to do that, but smaller ones, especially SMB, these medium small dealers, it's hard to cut away training, effective training. The one thing I always hated when I sold was our boss every now and then would bring in an expert. We had a
right,
sales expert come in, and this was just some guy who came in his shitty car. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. His bad car, and his crummy suit, and he didn't sell anything that we sold, and he's
right,
conceptual, right? He's telling us how to be salespeople, and all we did was look at each other like, who's this clown?
right.
Because he's telling us how to sell, and he clearly doesn't look like he's doing very well with it. But what I loved was the other piece of that was when we had people come in to do training from the manufacturers, from um, Jim Dominio actually was my trainer
Yeah,
back in
there
the
you go.
day. Just Schweitzer, John Schweitzer was
Yep.
one of our trainers, right? So we have these names. There's some of them still around, but we had people that would come in from Rico, from Savin when I sold those brands, from Xerox. Like I said, we got sent to Leesburg once or twice a year. It was a never-ending investment in the sales rep, and I just don't think that there are as many of those types of classes, courses, whatever you want to call them, available for. So I think for you guys, just a natural extension of what you do. You already have the data, you have the expertise, you have the relationships with all these vendors. So putting together this program just makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for that. And
Yeah,
listen, the manufacturers, it's hard, right? Like to keep resources and everything like that. I don't know exactly who's gotten to what programs, but all that I know is this. In this industry, you can't BS our people, right? Either you have it or you don't.
yep.
We have the expertise. We bought a company that's been doing this for 20 years, right, in our industry. So we know what we're doing, right? I think we add value. If we weren't adding value, then we wouldn't have the program. The program's been around for years of ProPrint Performance doing it for, a long time. The business has been around for 20 years. They've probably been doing training for 15 of those. So, like, it's not something that we're just starting now. It's just something that we're extending over to the dealer community because I think there's a real need for it.
I agree. I agree. We're getting close to the end of this, but I don't want to let you go without asking. You mentioned something else that kind of piqued my interest, talking about the training, which was some of these tools that you guys have developed.
Yeah.
And I know through some conversations with some other people, some other at KPI and just some of the releases you've done recently, you seem to have come out with some new tools for dealers and branches. Um, how do those like? Just let's talk about those. What are they, and
Yeah.
how do they help dealers?
So I think three things that are really helpful. I'll start with the quoting tool. So we had a customer, Novatech, with Dan Cooper, say, Anthony, my salespeople are spending 3 hours on enterprise deals, right? It's just too long. They're in front of an Excel spreadsheet instead of in front of a customer. So together, we took their salespeople, got what they did every day in a quote, and built a quoting tool that uses our configurator. People love that because you can't make a mistake. It also helps the workflow of the organization. So the salesperson can't make a mistake. Admin doesn't have to worry about catching it and then ordering the wrong machine and having a lousy customer experience. So it eliminates that. But to make a long story short, the 3 hour project is now down to 20 or 25 minutes. They can understand, they can get a quote, they can clone a quote so they don't have to redo it all the time. They can put in a monthly price. So I want to get to this monthly price. It configures everything for them already, right? You can put in gross margins, you can put in whatever you want. We work with as many price books. I've heard, my God, from one price book to like 39 price books. We can work with as many price books as people have, right? Putting in, you get updated information because it's fueled by BLIQ of all the right products in the mix. So what do? You take a segment three. This is what I usually do. Instead of rebuilding it all the time, I change accessory and I'm done. You can do a quote in 5 or 10 minutes. It goes on a standardized company dealership template. So the message is getting out of the dealership. There's an approval process, and then they send the link to the customer.
That would have saved me. I was one of those guys that would sit there and write the longest proposal. I don't know why, because every single time it was just, fluff and then pricing, right?
Right.
Like, but I would spend forever with those spreadsheets, and I can appreciate that. I mean, if you do one or two proposals a week, and by the way, if you're only doing one or two proposals a week at Novatech, I think you're going to get a talking to.
Yes, I would
You only
agree
do
with
one
that
or two
statement.
proposals a week. That time savings I can do that math. That's a lot of minutes, hours that you now have, right, on a weekly basis to go back out and spend better, to either get on the phones with more customers, go out in the field, go to more meetings, bang on more doors. a sales rep sitting at a computer on an Excel spreadsheet is it's just dead time.
Yeah, it's amazing because we have gone from 0 to 1,000 seats in about a year's time and have 7 of the 18 mega dealers signed. And now we have a lot of SMB dealers. So what's happening is we talk about HubSpot because everybody uses sales and marketing HubSpot, but it never had a quoting tool. So now if you could use HubSpot as a CRM and then have the quoting tool, you could have sales, marketing, and quoting, and doing nurturing campaigns, drip campaigns, all feeding into your sales and marketing, and then putting proposals out with quote. It's a great way to combine all of those areas.
So is this
So
something that you're integrated into HubSpot, or is it something that just works with HubSpot?
no, so we're going to be integrated. So we just signed that as a premier partner. We're going to have an announcement soon within the next 30, 60 days about a strategic partnership. And I think it's an amazing, powerful tool. And it's, to me, I'm surprised at how many dealers use HubSpot. And now we're giving them the education that they can expand what they're using, putting quote on it, and have a real powerful all-in-one solution.
Well, it sounds like something that if I was still selling, this would be so useful. Any dealer, who's got a sales force, who's out there, if you see sales reps sitting on their computers in your office, working on proposals for hours at a time, this is definitely something that'll streamline it. So,
Yeah.
very, very cool. So last thing, and we're kind of at the end of it, but is there
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to share before? You guys had so much. We need to do this more often.
Yeah, I just think I mentioned before the vertical market tools, right?
Yep.
Like if I'm setting up territories, right, having that information down by zip code of vertical markets is so helpful. We have channel mapping tools of all of the dealers where they're located, right? There's so much information that we have, but now it's all packaged for dealers. And I think it's really nice for the dealers to have accessibility to this. It's something that we should have done a long time ago, but it's here now. And I'm really excited about where we're going as an overall company. The feedback has been tremendous. As I mentioned, we have 2 dealer councils we run everything by, and their feedback really helps stream where we should take the dealership community. So I'm excited. And I always love being on with you, Andy. So it was a great time. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on. It's just it's amazing to watch you guys, the evolution from, what I would just say is a test lab slash, data center with those books, right? Everybody had that BLI spec check in
Yes.
the trunk of their
Yeah.
car. I probably still have some around here somewhere, and I'm not giving them back, Mark Durham, sales manager. But to take that data, to take all of that information and start building other tools. You guys have evolved into a completely different company at this point. I think almost unrecognizable from who you are 15, 20 years ago when, actually 30 years ago when I started,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you got on my radar as a sales rep. So kudos for you. The last couple of years has been a noticeable change. You guys have gone in a lot of different directions, the AI, the vertical market stuff, all these new tools. These are things that we're just sitting right there waiting to be done, and nobody ever did it. I think you've brought a lot to that company, and it's been fun watching you guys evolve. So thank you very much for coming on today, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.
That sounds great, Andy. Thanks again so much. And I just want to end with this. It's not possible to make a change in an organization without a great team. Our organization has really embraced this and done a good job with the change, a great job with the change. So I want to just mention that before we go.
Well, you got a
Thanks
great
so much.
team, and hello to everybody over there at BLI, KPI, the whole company. You guys have a crew there that has been there for maybe not as long as me, but pretty close. So maybe some of them have been there longer. I don't know. But you
Yeah,
do
and we still do the testing and the
Yeah,
BLIQ
yeah,
on
all
top of
over the
everything
place.
else. Yeah.
And you're doing production testing. So
Yeah.
we're gonna need to do another one of these because I could talk to you all day. You guys just you're a fun company to work with. And anybody needing any of these things we talked about, we'll put some contact information in the description for the video and